Nem tudom, hogy milyen ez a játék. Kiderül. Én sem néztem róla semmit. Semmit. Mit olvas? Nagyon orosz játék amúgy. Jóhoz hasonló. Jaj. Olyan, mint a Sherlock Holmes, ugye mi az a Sherlock Holmes is a játék neve. Ja.
Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad.
Vaktával lövöldözik, az fenomenális.
Stop, Holmes!
Jaj,
Is
jaj,
that
jaj.
you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Ezt végigjátszottam.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the
Tomb
only
Raider.
exercise I've had all week.
Régi.
A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your
Ó,
mind.
én is voltam Limósban.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The Medi men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should have Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone then.
Ó, érkét. Ez murder. Ő lenne a... Igen, ő lenne a gyilkosunk.
I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here. I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here.
Mire nem végzett még? Szétlői a szobát?
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
Csak át kéne rendezni. Ma tabot akar. Nem, nincs ki.
I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here.
Fölkeretezze valószínűleg nem mehetünk ki az utcára. Valami. Ez Watsonnak a szobája. Ugye? Igen. Ja, Watson szó, másik.
This is where I keep my post.
Ezek még le vannak zárva, komolyan. De jó, mert lehet így öltöztetni majd. És végül. Lights, egy korkés. Még téből. Ja. Szá. Így már el tudunk ide menni, igen. Ups. Nem tetszik a focinak. Helyszínre.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
Jól átment szaladt, nagyon jó. Olyan lassított mód. Szerintem ezt át fogjuk rakni másra. Aha, nagyon jó. Semmi kontrollzbeállítás nincs. Akkor lesz. Nyomokat lehet így.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... oh dear.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually, whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was
Hirtelen nem
different,
értettem,
wasn't
amit
he,
akar.
when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Never mind.
Ja, siinä oli
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Ja,
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
oda mentek ebbe menni szerintem a lakásba.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Na nézzük. Milyen
The
bűntény van
door
itt
is
a...
locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it.
Yeah.
I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Lezárta tegnap.
Hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see.
Próbáltuk föltenni. Ó. Zárat. Várja.
These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
Megpróbáltak
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool.
Majd na. Mindenem bevegyünk. Ó, milyen lándzsák vannak ott kettős. Ups. Akkor a harmadik is megvan.
What a terrible way to die.
Valaki van nagyon szólott a teste.
Someone drank from this glass recently. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work.
Dohány van benne.
This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture.
Nem. Nem egyszerű. De azért sikerül.
This is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very
Udane.
popular among sailors. Rum, a sailor's drink. It seems that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death.
Oké. Nézzük meg a testünket.
The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong.
Kicsit volt. Nézd, itt nem élet.
Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. This wooden handle is plain and solid. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed.
Négyzetek.
JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook.
Nem tudjuk, hogy ez mi? Csak ennyi?
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey.
Nyissuk ki.
These abbreviations mean
Szerintem
something,
koordináták.
but what?
Ezt jó már beszúrták. Nézd.
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry.
Úgy néz ki, hogy a hullát még nem vizsgáltuk teljesen. Itt igen, néztem. De nincs meg.
Peter Carey was impaired.
Látni kell. Hoppa. Utizzunk, hát egy cipő, egy táska.
Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8.
Ötös méret. Na. Na. Szerintem nem lehet táskát megnézni. 8-as a lábméret, valószínűleg valahol nézni fog.
The murder weapon was probably taken from this rack.
Ez volt.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from
Yeah,
one of Peter
bálna
Carey's
vadászat.
catches.
Bálnának a foga.
This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps.
Mi lehet a dobozba? Most.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. Hammerfest. Dundee. It's a whaling map.
Szóval jövők szívták.